Hey, Chip.
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Chip, why are we talking? What do you do?
I don't know. For work, I am a swimming pool designer for
Cool.
luxury swimming pools. A lot of people don't know that. They think that I may get paid to do videos around town, but actually, my full time job is a swimming pool designer, which is an amazing job. It affords me to be creative and move around, not be confined, which I have been before, punching clocks. But I get to see and meet a lot of cool people. But I think my passion here as of late has been creating videos and things like that. It's just kind of about town, bringing up things like, hey, have you ever noticed kind of deal. And I think that spawned from so like I don't like watching cable TV. I like watching YouTube and things like that. Maybe it's the ADD that I have. I just like to be a little bit more in control of the content. And I noticed that sometimes there's a gap for what I was looking for. And I read in a book somewhere, maybe it was like a Gary Vee thing. It was like, if you notice the gap, fill it. Just do it.
yeah.
So that's kind of where this whole thing started.
Yeah.
With the videos.
So what videos do you make?
So what I like to do is it's they say like find your niche or your like three brand pillars. If I had to try to silo what I do into that, I would say Birmingham. A lot of people. So whenever I'm around town and people notice me, they'll say, "Hey, you're the sandwich guy. Hey, you're the guy from the Widespread concert." That's kind of faded since that's been a few months. And then sometimes I'll hear you're the guy who does the food reviews. And to my knowledge, I've never done a food review.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I've seen that, but I've seen you go to
look at this,
restaurants. Yeah.
And then I'll get, hey, you're the guy that shows random places. And my favorite is when they say, hey, you're the funny guy.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I appreciate that because
Yeah.
a lot of times whenever I'm making the jokes, it's dry and a lot of people don't pick up on it. But I would say it's something like that, but mostly Birmingham content and other places I visit.
Yeah. I love what you're doing because it's in a way it's adjacent to sort of what I'm doing, which is like telling the stories of a lot of these places by interviewing the people who started them. But I always wonder because like there's all these statistics about how many millions of small business owners there are and things like that. And, each of us has the few that we know of that are like the famous restaurants or the clothing store or the boutique or the whatever it is, the coffee shop. But when you drive around like the suburbs outside of town, or when yesterday I drove like south of Montgomery to go meet someone, and you just drive through these little towns like Prattville and Greenville, Alabama, and there are strips of businesses, and you don't know what they are,
right?
But that's someone's livelihood in their life, and I think it's so cool that you're going around and like finding these things.
So on that same topic, I would look for podcasts to listen to at night, and there was two I absolutely just loved. It was S Town, which is about the Woodstock area, and then there was another one called White Lies, which is about Selma, my hometown. And I love those, and I was waiting on part two or I wanted that series to continue, but the way when I was listening to that, I was like, oh wow, like they really are like shining a light on everyday Alabama people, and this seems like such a unique thing, but really these people are everywhere.
Yeah.
Like absolutely everywhere. There's just interesting characters all around us.
Yeah, so I grew up in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Like outside of Jackson, Mississippi, so it's pretty relatively similar kind of demographic of people as around here. And I really feel like it helped me in a weird way. It gave me a really good perspective on the world. Part of that I think is aided by the fact that I've traveled a lot. So I've been to a lot of other places, other countries and other states and things. But growing up there kind of made me realize like this is the majority of population. Like this is just how people live in the majority of places. So you can watch people on TV and YouTube and see what they're doing, but the majority of people just kind of, their uncle sells insurance and their dad is like a, accountant, and then they go and cut lawns. Like,
so when I was listening to the White Lies podcast about Selma, some of the people they were interviewing, I hung out with at like the local marina bar.
Wow.
For 10 years.
That's crazy.
And I had no idea that they were involved with that whole story.
Yeah.
Like, the main characters were in there, and I was like,
that's surreal.
It's funny that the name of the show was White Lies, because we were just all in there hanging out, and this guy was living, as a regular free man, and nobody in there ever mentioned it.
Mm.
Yeah. And then I was like, what? This is the same guy. Him and his wife were. They were.
Yeah. Tell for people. Anyone who hasn't listened, what White Lies is about.
Essentially, White Lies is based around a story that happened in Selma, right around the time the bridge crossing happened, or Bloody Sunday. There was a preacher who I believe was from, I forget exactly where he was from, but he was down there helping, and he was eating at a restaurant. It was one night, and basically the story goes that there was 3 or 4 men that cornered him, and one of them hit him with like a pipe, and the guy ultimately died on the way to the hospital from Selma to Birmingham. And then when they had these guys in court, they couldn't prove it, and they got away free. And it was a lot of like old, kind of like good old boy cover up kind of story. But you need to listen to it versus me explaining it. And but anyway, a lot of those guys I knew.
That's crazy.
I had no idea that they were involved with the story.
Yeah, my wife and I listened to S-Town a couple years ago, because she's from Fairhope. Yeah. And then we met at Sanford and got married, and we've been married for 3 years here now. But it's just crazy because it's like it's right next door to where we live. Yeah. This tiny town with these like weird people, and I don't know. It's a crazy story.
Yeah, very wild.
Well, what? So, take me to. Let's see. What made you start posting?
So you'd have to back up a little bit to whenever I was working in a manufacturing plant, and I just like was miserable to a point that I won't even go into. Like it was unrewarding. I was opening the gate, closing the gate, responsible for everybody, and the owner of the company was just like gaslighting me all the time. And I was like, I've got to get out of here. Change has got to happen. So
looking back on that, have you honed in on like what exactly it was that was frustrating you about that situation? Was it one particular thing, or was it like a kind of conglomeration of everything?
So it's probably like 3 things. It was being underappreciated and gaslighted, which is like its own form of torture.
Yeah.
And then working so hard, and like I knew the answers, like we needed to shut down the plant and fix some things, but he was like, how are we going to do that? These orders are due. And then if you produced it with the machines you had bad quality, and then the quality was your fault. And it's like, hey man, like you're just not setting me up to win. I know what needs to happen. You're not letting me do it. And then like he didn't like that I knew that.
Yeah.
So I had friends riding around in trucks, like talking on the phone all day and goofing off doing what they did, but still making more money than me.
Yep.
And I was like, well, I want to do that. So
I think everyone should.
I called a friend of mine who's owned a landscaping company his entire life, and since he started working. I was like, hey, I want to do that. And he said, well, I'm building pools now. You want to be a salesman or a designer? And it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
And my first thought was, I've never sold anything, and I'm not a designer. And I said that out loud to him. He said, oh, but you're creative. And that simple statement right there, like, completely turned my life around, because while I felt creative and confined, because coming from the small town and having to go the route of, hey, this is just what you do. You were a football player. You weren't good at school per se. You didn't like it. You were probably just bored, whatever. There was not a creative outlet, other than drawing on our notebooks or whatever. Like, there was, the arts were out the window. So you just went to work construction or joined a manufacturing deal, and I did a little bit of both. He was the first person who ever told me that.
Yeah.
And it felt great, and I was like, all right, let's explore this. And he bought me a computer, showed me a few things, and then I designed something. He's like, hey, that's pretty good. You know, change this, this, and this. And the next thing I know, I'm on stage winning awards for pool design, like
wow,
pool sales and designs, you know. And in that, another blessing came along was he started this company in Montgomery, and I lived in Birmingham, so all of our leads are in Montgomery. And I'm a pretty quick learner when it comes to pain, so I drove to Montgomery several times, and I was like, hey, I need to be doing things here. And I was like, well, maybe I should utilize social media to get awareness out here until that pen gets moved here. So I started making little videos and posting on all the social media outlets, and that kind of blew up. Like there was this whole Chip the Pool Man thing, you know, and in the design and pool world, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, I've been following you for 5 years, even though I'd only had the page open for like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, it was like it became this thing like that really grew quickly and shocked me. And
why do you think that grew?
I read a lot of books. I read about Story Brand. I read, are you familiar with Story Brand?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I read about that and non-traditional marketing. And one of my favorite books, everybody knows who Ryan Holiday is for the Stoic books and all of that, but he's got a really good one called Growth Hacking. And it's probably my favorite book. And it's like how, like word of mouth, how ideas spread and like what's contagious and things like that, and like what really works versus doing things the traditional way just because that's the way we've always done it. And I started doing those sorts of things of like, hey, this is a beautiful pool, can you visualize yourself in it, as opposed to I'm the best pool builder, call me.
Yeah.
And it worked, and people like resonated with it. And then with the sales, I'm not a natural salesman, so what I did was more I took a test one time when I was back in management supervision, and I was the only leader who came up as a connector. I noticed my skill trait was connecting, and that's a red flag right there. I shouldn't have been in leadership.
Yeah.
And so I was a man of the people, so to speak. And like that was a big setback for me in management. Is the upper management sometimes would get mad at me for taking up for the guys, but the guys were the ones doing the work. You know. And anyways, so realizing that I was good at connecting dots and things like that, just kind of, hey, this is the solution for that problem, and that's the way I go about selling. And what I learned is if it's not a good fit, you don't want to force it because you're forcing a bad relationship.
Yeah.
And then I might as well be back in manufacturing if I'm going to be miserable.
Right.
One of my favorite sayings is, if somebody says, hey, you lost the sale, it's like, yeah, but, you know, I left manufacturing because I was unhappy. I don't want to be unhappy doing this.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I think sometimes people, especially the generation before my generation, sometimes feel like work is like this penance, like they've got to go and just be miserable. And I see people doing that, and it's like, man, life is short. I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I think having freedom in your time and happiness it's like you need to consider that just as much with your pay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I resonate with that a lot.
Yeah.
I really want to have my cake and eat it too. And obviously there are trade-offs with anything that you do.
Yeah.
You might have to sacrifice pay for time freedom or vice versa, something like that. But I'm really, and amongst my friends too, around my age bracket in the 20s, like we don't want to just show up and like grind and be miserable so that we can go home and make an extra buck. It's like you're going to have to do this for a long time. You need to figure out a way to do it sustainably for a long time and take care of all areas of your life and have a whole life where you're spiritually, mentally, relationally taken care of, not just financially, you know?
Yeah. So one a saying that I read or heard, it was if you could make $1 million a day, but you had to work 24/7, would you do it? And it's like, I know that's a real simple way of saying it, but it really simplifies it. It's like, no, you don't want to do that. Like, your time is what's important. Your happiness is what's important, like not the money. And so I think that I just try to use that as my compass for the large part. You know, obviously you want to be able to take care of yourself and your family, but you know, for as long as that's done within reason and you're not sacrificing or redlining anything.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. So making pool videos and content around that, what makes you, are you still doing that, or have you switched to?
So I do that, and I've tended, so I was like on a little, maybe almost crazy. I would do one video and one post a day for years, right? For, I guess, 5 years. And then the economy kind of turned about 2 years ago with luxury items such as swimming pools. And then I'm part of a franchise, so there's some things that are at play where, like, territories get bought by new people that you may be working in, or they want you to hire extra salesmen and things like that. So it kind of felt, if I'm being honest, like a little bit of what I created was being taken from me. It's so every December, January, I'm writing in my book like goals, and I realized, like, hey, if I wanted to achieve this number, I wasn't going to be able to do it this year, and it just felt like I'd ran into a wall, and I was like, why is this happening? And so what I did, instead of going just completely negative, is I used it very similar to when I was in the manufacturing situation, and it felt hopeless. I realized, like, every time that I've gotten to, like, what seemed like a rock bottom or a dead end or like something bad, it was like the universe was teaching me, hey, it's time to do a little something different. And I used it to kind of, okay, well, what do I like doing? I like making, what do I like about my job? I like making the videos. I like producing content. And so I was like, well, putting the pools aside, what would you do, you know? And it was like, well, I don't know. What do you like? You love your city. You know, you like history. Is there content gaps that you wish were there for yourself? And I started doing these things. And one day I was at home in Selma, and there's a little barbecue restaurant called Hancock's Barbecue. And it was this quick. I jumped out of the truck, took a selfie. I just flipped the camera around. And I said, I'm going to put you on the best barbecue in the world. And then I walked inside, took a little quick picture of the barbecue plate. And then when I left, I panned the video, and then I just put a little kind of bluesy barbecue sound background to it. And then this thing went 1,000, 2,000. And then, like, within 3 or 4 weeks on TikTok, that it had like 75,000 views. And I went to I went to elementary school with the girl who owns it now. And she was like, wow, we need to put you in charge of this. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Could I duplicate it?
Yeah.
And so people started commenting like, hey, check out Herd's Barbecue in Centerville. Trust me. And so I went and made a video there, 40,000 views, so something like that.
Yeah.
And so I started utilizing the feedback. You know, you'll hear that in the marketing books. It's like, do what the people are telling you. It's that simple. That's what they're telling you what they want.
Yeah.
And then it kind of dawned on me to implement some other deals, like the dive shop right down the street. I've always wondered what was going on in there.
Yeah.
And randomly, one of the guys that worked there said, hey, come check us out. And I was like, yeah, of course. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I've got a good idea. And he was like, cool. And I was like, if this works, I think it'll work. And that thing blew up.
Yep.
And then there's another creative guy who lives in my neighborhood. He was like, hey, I love what you're doing and how you're interacting with people. That's something else that I learned through reading the books, is you got to interact with people so they feel a part of. And so I was doing that, and he was like, he gave me some ideas to check out, but this is the big thing. He said, are you on Instagram? So I realized I was missing a large crowd. So it's real simple to take the TikTok video and just put it on Instagram. So I think I created that Instagram page maybe in March or April. And I'm pushing 10,000 people.
Yeah, you're almost
right
up
now.
to 10.
I'm real close to it. And the TikTok one, you know, it's around 11 or 12,000, and it's just been a crazy quick thing. Like, and it's been pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like people just have kind of appreciated it, and I've enjoyed doing it. So I don't really have a goal with it. Maybe loosely, when I was texting my friend, I was thinking a podcast one day.
Yeah.
You know, but as I was mentioning to you earlier, everything that it takes to go into the podcast is probably what would stop me.
Yeah.
But I don't really have a goal. My thing with it was, if I had a goal, it's just following my heart and then seeing what happens. You know, I read in a book, and it may be even a Oprah quote. It was said, just be your authentic self on stage and see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like a lot of the advice on social media stuff is like the most sustainable way to do this for a long time and actually grow is to be yourself.
Yeah.
Because like people are going to buy into you and whatever you're doing, and they want to know what your story is and be a part of that.
Yeah.
And so like you can try and put on this face of whatever you think people are going to want to do, but like if it's just easier to just do you and be yourself and share what you care about.
One of the things too, like I don't like saying negative things about places. So if I go there and I didn't really enjoy it, I just don't post the video. You know, because somebody once said, "Hey, do a bad review," and I was like, well, "I'm really not doing any reviews. I'm just saying, let's look at this."
Yeah,
you know,
where So take me through the process of trying to find some of these spots that you go to. Do you literally just like, some of it is recommendations, but I imagine not all of the places you go to are recommendations.
So I had the blessing of whenever I first started working in Birmingham, I moved here right out of high school because I had some older friends that lived here, and my goal was to get up here and hang out, right? And so I didn't go into college. I just moved up here, got a job with Buffalo Rock, which is Pepsi, and I drove all around the greater central Alabama area with these guys, and they would take me to places like Green Acres. So I'd been to Green Acres before, and I was like, okay, let's go. People would think that's cool to go in there, you know? Or I knew where Wesley's Booby Trap was, and so I'm riding one day, and I've got a set of microphones and a tripod, and I'm going to design a pool out there, and I see it. I just turn around and do a quick video out there, and people just love that kind of stuff, you know? Like, everybody's heard of Wesley's Booby Trap, but people don't have an outlet to talk about it, you know? And so that day, my only goal was to eat at a restaurant out there that I had thought of. But when I saw that, you know, I got 2 great videos between Wesley's Booby Trap and the restaurant, you know? And I just kind of... when I pass things, like when you pass through the cut, everybody passes through there daily at Red Mountain, but nobody notices that little trail up there. And if you're like me and moved to Birmingham, you just don't know that it was there until somebody tells you.
I didn't know. I lived here for probably 6 years before someone told me there was a trail up there.
So it's kind of twofold. You're either teaching somebody that it's there, or it brings up some nostalgia where people are like, oh yeah, we used to go to that museum up there and we would hike down that trail and the fossils, and people just love to relive that and tell their part, you know? So you go there and somebody will say, hey, have you ever seen this trail? You know, and it's crazy to me that like so I was into like hiking and the trail running and riding my bike, but not everybody does that. So if you go show somebody a trail on a video, and they're like, oh well, I need to go check that out.
That's a really good point too. Like I am very interested in a lot of things, and so I try a lot of stuff. So I wouldn't say that I'm like amazing at much. I'm pretty proficient at a couple things, but you know, in college I rock climbed a lot, and now I run and I weight train a little bit, and I used to mountain bike. I don't anymore. I'm really into eating food and eating good food and getting to know some of the restaurateurs around town, and I'm really into coffee. Like there's a lot of things that I'm into, which I think is similar to you too. And my friends are also into a lot of the same stuff, so it's easy for me to be like, everyone's into this.
Yeah.
But it's actually not true. It's just like you're in your bubble and in your world. And so I often, you know, on my Instagram algorithm, it's like coffee and cars and architecture and stuff that I'm into. And so I'm like, well, I would never post stuff in that world because it's all oversaturated or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, you are a unique person because you have this Venn diagram of a lot of different interests, and like you can overlap with so many different worlds in a unique way and tell your own story in a unique way that it is something unique, and it's not oversaturated because it's you.
It's 100%
you know?
right. And the only reason that I think that a lot of people, we talk about building walls. People build walls because they think people won't think that's interesting because it's so common to you. But there's a lot of different types of people in and around Alabama. And then another thing is we play the tape of somebody will make fun of me for talking about something so normal. And I've gotten some crazy messages. Like somebody commented one day, it was like, you're not showing anybody. You're just anything new. Everybody in Birmingham knows this already. You're just doing this for likes and comments. And I thought about saying, is this your first day on Instagram? Like, like, and then I like.
It's also like go through the comments and read what people are saying. Like it's like, just not true.
So I tried to flush that. Then the guy inboxed me. Is like, dude, you're just doing this for likes and comments. It's like you're not doing anything special. I was doing this before Instagram. I was like, what do you want?
Yeah,
what do you want, dude? And so you just have to kind of block those things out, because for every one of those, there's probably 8 people who will say, hey, I just moved to Birmingham, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I never really thought about it helping somebody like that.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
So you've made it mostly about Birmingham.
Yes.
In your username.
Yeah.
Chip Creates Birmingham. Do you anticipate going beyond the city?
I would like to, and much like whenever I created Chip the Pool Man, which is 2 different accounts, my intention was to always to go back and change it. But then what was funny is, like, especially within the pool world, like other people I know, like Chip the Pool Man, I would like turn red because it was embarrassing. But like it became its own thing, so I just left it alone. And so with Chip Creates Birmingham, that's probably about the 4th name that I had on that account, and I was just trying to figure it out. And the creates, it's like, well, what are you creating? You know, I mean it like I'm a creator and I'm in Birmingham.
Yeah.
So I had thought about changing it a few times, but then when people started saying that versus, hey, you're the sandwich guy, or hey, you're the whatever, I was like, well, I'm just gonna leave it.
Yeah.
You know. So to answer you, I will occasionally get a message from somebody that's out of state, and I'm like, that's awesome. It's getting further. You know? And
because I feel like in a way you could be this like cool, like local journalist type guy, except for that local just means like small town, not necessarily like close to you.
The funny thing is, so since I've created the page or the account or whatever, I've been to Vegas and to Jackson Hole, but I've noticed that whatever it is about the TikTok algorithm, it wants you to be the Birmingham guy. So the views don't get as much. But if you put it on Instagram, it's not quite as bad, but something about the algorithms want you to be the Birmingham guy.
Yeah.
So when you start stepping out, it's a little bit harder. And I was real excited about both of those travels because I thought like, hey, this will be a chance to expand, but the algorithms don't really help with that. But I think I like the idea.
Yeah. Do you think are you like tagging your locations whenever you post? Is it like that kind of technical?
Yeah. And typically whenever I post something locally here, I always do #Birmingham, #Alabama. And I think that it may like that.
Okay.
But I don't really know, you know.
It's so weird to figure out. Yeah. It's hard to like, I feel like so many things in business, as an example, are pretty formulaic.
Yeah.
Like sales can be pretty formulaic once you figure out like what works. It's like, you know, you do whatever your marketing thing is and you pour more time and energy into that, and then like it grows, you know. But with social media, sometimes like you can post all the time, but it doesn't click until you find the thing that does click, if that makes sense.
And another real strange thing about it is, of like, I guess the video formats, you have Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube, right? You can take the exact same video and post it on all three, and they'll all perform differently.
Yeah. I made one time. It was OTM Cruisers. Are you familiar with those guys? So I did an episode with him, and I made a video about, it was literally just, it was Cole explaining what a Land Cruiser is.
Yeah.
It's like this cult icon vehicle. And it got like 250,000 views on Instagram or something like that. Yeah. And I think it got maybe 1,000 on TikTok. It just like didn't hit at all on TikTok.
The crazy thing about TikTok is you could repost it today and it may take off.
Yeah. It's weird. What's your relationship like with posting and stuff? Are you trying to be like consistent post every day, or like?
So before I hurt myself, I was doing probably 2 a day, and on Saturday I could get enough videos to like kind of stretch them out through till Tuesday. Today, for whatever reason, I could make one about here. I went to a coffee shop this morning that I'll post, and then I went and ate at Amper Sandwich before I came here, so I'll make one there too. So it just kind of depends on what my workload, like with the swimming pools versus like, location. It's all just kind of what you can do. So I'm always like mentally thinking content though.
Yeah.
What's funny about that, I've been waiting for the right opportunity to tell this story. I think that I've always, since like I was 5 or 6, kind of thought like a creator, because I remember like riding to what I call the country. My dad would take me to this hunting land, and I remember like being in the passenger seat looking in the rearview mirror and like replaying country music videos, like, if that makes sense. Like
totally.
I was visualizing making a country music video because of like the country background, and then like obviously the music was on, and every kid daydreams about having like their own camera or recorder. And like, so as I got older and social media, like the MySpace years and all of that came out, that was like so much fun to me. And what was strange is my peers weren't really into it. So it was almost like it was a new thing. So a lot of people, it had a certain amount of shame, like, hey, you shouldn't be on that or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, like people used to not admit that they were on MySpace or Facebook, like in the early 2000s.
Why?
I don't know, but dude, it was just a little bit of like a it's
taboo
almost like
thing.
AI is now. Like some people use AI, but some people will shame you
that
for
would
using
make more
it.
sense. Because when I came around, like Facebook, I was more of like Facebook and Instagram generation. It's like I never got MySpace.
I'll tell you to what extent it was too. And the world itself is much more forgiving than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago, because back then everybody just gave everybody hell. And now it seems like you could be a 42-year-old man filming yourself downtown and people are like, right on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you did that back then, it was like, hey man, ha. But I'll tell you to what extent people were like real careful with what they did, because Facebook was strictly for college students, right?
Yep.
And then there was this element to whenever they opened it up where it was like the college students versus the non-college students were like, I'm just going to get off of there now because they've opened it up to everybody. It was like
interesting.
socio.
Yeah.
Like it was a tier to it. And I don't know, man. It was just different back then. But
do you post on Facebook too?
So the reason I tend not to, especially with the reels, is because I have, this may all tie together, I have those old friends from elementary school, my family, I guess, people from my past. And when you think of people from your past, it's almost like they want to think of you the way they thought of you, and not the new you. And then like they'll kind of throw shade at you a little bit. It's so, I think if you get into being a creator, either you're gonna have to either just not care about that, or you're gonna have to cut ties with those people. Yeah. But I think that I limit probably 90% of my content from going on Facebook because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Just some random person. Another thing that you'll find from being a creator is the most random people 100% have your back, and your people that you should have like on your, they don't care, they won't hit like, but they're watching.
Yeah. That is the craziest thing. I've just had the randomest. I had a text 2 days ago from a guy who we were kind of jokingly enemies in college. Yeah. We weren't actually, like, we were pretty good buds, but we made out like we were arch nemesis, rivals, whatever, because we were like in different fraternities and whatever. It was just like a bit. Sure. But he sent me a text the other day, and I just don't see the guy very much anymore. We just don't do the same things. But he sent me a text and was like, hey, even though I hate you, like, genuinely, your podcast awesome. Is like really great and like really introspective. I bet that felt great. And it felt amazing. It was like I was in the middle of editing and I was like frustrated about something, and I was like, wow, that's like really cool that like he is listening to this and cares. Because I feel like one of the weird things about doing this is like you spend all this time like filming things and then editing them and then posting them, and then sometimes you just like don't hear anything. Like it's just work for like almost nothing at all until the thing like actually catches and you make the right video or whatever it is, you know. So it's really cool, like getting those kind of messages from people that I know is really special. That's awesome. But it's strange how the friends aren't really the friends and the strangers are the friends when it comes to content creation. I had one of my buddies I grew up with, and he's not pro or against. He's one of those guys who never was too involved with social media. He texted me the other day. He actually lives here. We grew up in Selma together. He said, hey man, we're riding back from Mississippi. We've been working. And he said, all of my coworkers are watching your videos and they don't believe that I know you. That's hilarious. I said, give them my number and tell them to call me. I'm going to tell them you're lying. Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. So do people end up coming up and asking you like for recommendations to things all the time? Dude, so there was a pool guy that I worked with designing something who called me yesterday, and I was in the middle of something. And I called him back, and he was like, hey dude, pull this, pull that. He was like, but I've got family coming to town. He moved here from California, and he was like, I need some recommendations from you because you're Mr. Alabama. That's awesome. Like, oh, you should make like a Chips Rex list or something like that. The funny thing about recommending things is like, where should we go? What's the one thing? And I'm like, that's not really how Birmingham is. Yeah. You know, like there's some good spots to eat, and they're very subjective. And like, he was like, what would you do downtown Birmingham? I was like, well, if it was me, even though it's hot, I would walk down Rotary Trail. I'd probably do a little loop around Railroad Park. I would walk over Richard Arrington, where they've made that a pedestrian bridge, and, you know, just kind of take it in Morris Avenue. I would just take all that in, and you can see the history of Birmingham, what we're trying to do. You can see the obstacles. You know, you'll see the blight. You'll see all of it, and that's Birmingham. Yeah. You know, and that's what I love is like when I got back from Jackson Hole, that place is just like it's perfect. You know, in about 3 days of perfect, you're like, man, I miss Alabama. I miss Birmingham. Like, it's just home. You know, it's like a piece of art. You know, it's just not like a polished deal, you know? Yeah. It's funny how I feel like it kind of grips some people. Yeah. Like some people come here and they just don't get it and then they leave. Yeah. But I am one of those people who came and was like, oh, like, there's just something about it. Yes. Yeah, yeah. There's character. There's like good. There's really, really good parts, and then there are also some like pains that you just kind of deal with. That because when you say New Orleans, mental image, right, and everybody pretty much agrees on it. Memphis, same thing. Atlanta, same thing. Nashville, you know, all of those things mean something. Birmingham, it's a little bit of a question mark. It's like, well, some people say, well, there's nothing to do there. And some people are like, well, it's dangerous, or you know, you'll hear all of that stuff, but like. To live here, it's like just the right size. There's just enough of everything to do, but it's not too busy. Yeah, and I love the layout of the city too, which some people complain about because of like how it's difficult to get around and stuff. But I think it makes you, like I interviewed Amanda Loper from David Baker Architects, and we talked a lot about like how to make dense areas in a good way.
Yeah.
And the way that you do that well is like you put people close enough together in their living spaces that they actually get to know each other. Like you get to know your neighbors, and you build those living spaces close enough to like places where you can go and eat and get your groceries and do some of your like ordinary shopping, so that you end up kind of like walking around or like taking really short drives. And so like I live over here in Forest Park, and so there's a Piggly Wiggly that's like 1.5 miles from my house, and there's all of this Avondale, like there's a park and there are restaurants and things that you can go to. So I can like, other than driving to my office, like my whole life is kind of just in like 2-3 like mile, driving stints or walking stints. And so I feel like Birmingham has a lot of that, and I don't necessarily know if I know the reason why or the history of why, but they're just these little neighborhoods where like you can kind of build this like cute life. Maybe it's the wrong word, but like a cute life where you just know people close by, and then you also like get to know the restaurant owners and the business owners, and can kind of just build this like world that's lovely.
There's this real interesting thing that too, like if you meet like a legacy Birmingham person, it's crazy how they'll throw out those last names of like restaurant owners, and it's confusing.
Yeah.
But if you like,
it is funny, like in Mississippi growing up, like we went to all these restaurants and stuff, but I didn't know any of the like head chefs and stuff like that. And now I know like every chef's name for all the like best restaurants downtown. It's kind of funny.
It's a very strange thing about Birmingham.
Do you think it's a pretty welcoming place?
Yeah, for the most part. Something to like I know that Birmingham will get there's a certain amount of just being in Alabama where you get the Southern hospitality, and then but then if you're outside of like in the country areas on the outside, a lot of people have a negative idea because of the news, and then they're like the murder rate and this in Birmingham and this, that, and the other. But it's like you really have to be actively looking for that to be involved in it. That's not like just random, like, oh, I was getting gas or whatever,
Right.
And sometimes too, like I'll ride my bike, and granted it's in the morning time, but I'll ride my bike through traditionally unsafe areas and just looking around, and everybody's like, hey man, what are you doing? And it's like, it is extremely safe out here.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
It other than maybe like downtown, there's some mental health issues down there. Like, but if you're like walking or riding, you can steer clear of that.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like so much of it is, and I say this as like a white male, but like so much of it is kind of just being socially aware.
Yeah.
Like just be careful. Like there are bad actors in every place, and of every kind. So you just need to like be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
But like you can operate in quote dangerous place. Like we're not talking about a war-torn Middle East country. Like this is the United States, we're in a city with a police force and a stable government. Like
there was the British couple that came here.
Jack and what's her name? Ainsley.
Yep. And they were, bebopping around downtown, and that may have been partly of what inspired me to do the same thing. Because they just had such an appreciation, even the Legion game. That, they were just like, wow, this is awesome. Look how nice this is.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's perspective for you.
Yeah.
Like there is a certain amount of, I think it's kind of a Southern thing of like, oh, this is so bad that it's real bad in Selma. Like when you're raised in Selma, it's doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And that is one of that place's biggest problems is it's walls. It's just building walls like, hey, it can't get any better than this.
Yeah.
Don't try. And I think there's a certain amount of that involved with Birmingham, but like there's so many things in the 20-ish years that I've been here. Like I heard that Avondale would never be a thing, and like look at it now.
Yep.
It's
I live there.
And then they said you can't. When I first moved here, you didn't go downtown. You would go to 5 Points, but you just didn't go downtown.
Yeah.
Unless it was city stages. And then like now that's its whole thing. They said the Rotary Trail wouldn't work. They said that under the underpass wouldn't work, and that's a beautiful park down there. Like there's now the thing is Coca-Cola and then the
North
Caraway area
Birmingham,
is not going to work. And I guarantee you when that Caraway deal is done, that's going to be amazing.
I know. I wish that I had money to start like developing real estate over there, like buy some houses and fix them up, you know?
Dude, you know what needs fixed is we have that land bank and
yes.
all of those houses that are there, because I ride my bike around there too, and it's like they're just caught up in the system.
Yep.
You can't fix them because so-and-so's grandfather.
I know. I was having a conversation with one of my coworkers. He's much older than me, and so he does some property flipping and stuff like that. And I do my own scaled-down version with cars. I flip cars because it's fun. But we were talking about the land bank trust thing. For anyone who doesn't understand, basically when people don't pay their taxes on property, then the I think it's the county repossesses it. And then you can get that property by paying the taxes to the county to own the property. But there are a lot of stipulations around how you can actually develop it. And they typically shy away from selling that property to what would be, quote, a flipper or like a developer, because they want someone to come in and buy the house and then like rehabilitate it and live in it themselves. And I was talking to my coworker about it. I was like, I understand the sentiment, and I don't think that the sentiment is wrong necessarily. Like you don't want
the wrong people going down.
You don't want private equity to come in and buy up a bunch of stuff and then just start renting it out, and that doesn't really help the situation because you want to increase property ownership. But for a guy like him who just kind of does this as like a side hustle thing, like it's valuable because, for example, I bought my house last summer. I just bought a house that was a house that works fine and had been remodeled like a decade ago, and I didn't have to do much of anything to it because I didn't have the cash to pour into like rebuilding a house and whatever. And that's a lot of people, especially like young 20-something people. Like we're trying to leverage our eyes out so that we can actually just get the mortgage. Like I don't have all this cash to put into like fixing up a house. I wish I did, I just don't. And so the problem then becomes like, well, if you're not going to sell to these flippers, which are people who have the cash to actually like fix up the house and then sell it to someone like me, the person like me does that. That's the service that the flipper is doing. Doing that.
It needs to be easier for the right people. Don't just make it so complicated that nothing happens.
Right.
To keep the bad out.
Right.
Make it easier for the right people. It's
There's
like
a balance.
Your citizenship here. It's like, we understand that there's a problem, but make it easier for the right people.
Right. Because the alternative is that it just sits there and it's empty property. And then you look at the map and it's a whole bunch of like orange dots in these like decaying houses and no one wants to move there.
I tried to navigate that website and it's wildly confusing.
Yeah. I literally called someone on the phone. I was like, what am I looking at here?
It's like, why do you even have this?
Yeah.
It's like,
literally.
You click it and it's like a code or something.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I supposed
I've been talking to my coworkers. I'm trying to figure out a way to like try and do some of that because I would just love there. For example, in my neighborhood right over here, there's this weird like 3-unit apartment building on a corner that's just abandoned and has been abandoned for who knows how long. And I would love nothing more than to just like, I can't really buy it, but maybe I could like get funding from someone I know. Like I know some people who have money and do real estate development. Like maybe we could like go in together and I could do some of the work to like fix it up and then find the contractors and then find tenants to live in it, like something like that, just so that this ugly building isn't in my neighborhood. Like that's all I care about is I just don't want to drive past this ugly building or just tear it down and like build a normal house, something just so that there isn't this ugly building around the corner from my house. So
I've talked to people who kind of understand how and why it's so complicated, and they're just kind of like, oh man, it's a bigger deal than that. It's just hard to explain. It's a nightmare. I spent 10 years for this one property. It's just not worth it. And it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, why don't we just make it easier?
Yeah.
Like,
because there are people who will do that.
Yeah.
There's money enough to like fix these things up and then provide affordable housing to people.
Unless there's a vested interest in having it bad. I don't know.
Maybe that'd be a whole other topic. I don't know how to broach. What does people in your family think, like your parents?
My parents are older, and my mom will say, you know, I know you like making videos or whatever.
Yeah.
And my dad just was, unless it has my little girl in it, he doesn't really, so.
Yeah.
My sister actually texted me this morning, and she it was a bunch of screenshots. I haven't even read it yet because I was working. And it said, it's so funny, all of my friends that comment on your post. And she was like, I know, and this person and this person. So a few of them think it's cool, and a few of them just give me my space. And, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. They'll probably think it's cooler if it gets bigger.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to convey that kind of stuff to people who didn't grow up around it, you know?
Sure.
Because, we came of age with, this kind of stuff. And so it just makes more sense and it clicks. But when you talk to someone who's 65, they just don't really understand how social media works.
So I have certain friends that I trusted enough back earlier this year when I was like, hey, I think I'm going to do this. They were like, do it, dude. Go all in. It's really just 2 friends out of all of my friend circle, right? And then a lot of them, though, probably had my best interest in, but they kind of looked at me and kind of tilted their head, and they're like, I don't get it. What are you talking about? And I was like, hey, man, if Roll Tide Willie.
Yep. Yeah.
If Roll Tide Willie could do it, I can do it.
Totally. Absolutely. That's I tell myself that all the time. It's like, if this random person who I feel like I'm better than or smarter than or whatever can be this full-time person who does this for a living, I can figure it out. Yeah. That's arrogant of me, but so sometimes you have to talk yourself out of a cliff, you know?
I believe. Sometimes you see people doing it and you think, hey, I could do that.
Yeah.
Even though it's I'm not there, but I believe I could do it.
I could be.
I have that too.
Yeah.
It's not an arrogance. It's a confidence.
Yeah.
Hey, I really could do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And you're willing to do the work and figure it out and do that all. Yeah. I wanted to ask about, could you give me a top 3 list of your favorite restaurants around town?
Dude, so I was at Rusty's the other day and ordered the brisket, and he was in there and he said, I hope it meets your standards. And I instinctively said, I don't have standards, because I really don't, dude.
Yeah.
I'm just some guy from Selma who likes what I like, and I don't get into the whole don't overcook my steak or don't overcook my burger, ketchup blah or whatever, I just kind of like what I like. If I had to pick,
maybe do this. Maybe do your perfect Saturday. Where are you having for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
All right. So
does that make it any easier or more interesting?
So I usually eat breakfast at home, but if I had to pick, especially not even being health conscious, I would go somewhere that has an Eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
Either that, or I'm a sucker for that pepper jelly on chicken with the cream cheese kind of deal. That's really good, and there's a handful of places to get that. But this is gonna. A lot of people have mixed emotions about Purple Onion, man. But I don't leave Birmingham because Purple Onion's here.
Yeah, that's crazy,
place,
actually.
Yeah, something about that place is it's my go-to.
I've only been there maybe twice.
Yeah, I pretty much they have enough variety of things. I like everything there, and I'm fond of the Hoover one and the Homewood one. Mm-hmm. And then once you get away from those, they're not quite the same. But I love those places. Yeah. And then there's several places where I've had the burgers are good, and I know Birmingham's a hot dog city, but I really like Smokehouse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so
I actually ate there with Ethan the other day.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I love that place. Everything I've had there is fire. I'm a huge fan of Rusty's out there, even though it's a different style barbecue. I love the Archie's in Hoover with the barbecue place. I like the pork there. And then I know a lot of people like to say things like Hot and Hot and Bottega and things like that.
The bougie places.
Those places are a little stuffy to me.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a diner dive kind of guy.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
That's sick. Do you have any because of the style of content that you do, I don't know if this would even be the case, but do you have any that you're places that you're chasing after that you want to meet the owner of, or you want to go and get to, maybe because it's far away, or maybe because it seems more stuffy or something like that?
Dude, So I grew up a big fan of a band called Downright here.
Okay.
I think it'd be real cool to hang out with those guys, to like go into the studio or something like that.
Yeah.
It'd be real cool to like mingle with some Alabama players, or you know, like I actually worked with Marquise Mays at one time, and technically on paper I was his supervisor.
Holy cow.
For a few weeks, but
Yeah.
like I did not like have that. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't work because I like look. He was like, "That's the guy," you know. So I got to meet him, and that was like, I don't often find myself in situations where I'm like hard to talk, but like when it comes to like an Alabama player, or maybe like somebody I grew up like enjoying their music or something, like those kind of things kind of would be impressive too.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you an Alabama fan?
Yeah.
Do you make it down to Tuscaloosa, and have you tried to do any stuff down there?
So some things have changed, especially with like getting older and having the NIL and all of that stuff at play.
Yeah.
And then, but now when I go, it's more like taking my daughter and letting her see it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. She's old enough now. She's 6, and we went to a few games last year, and I'll take her to 1 or 2 this year. And you know, that's kind of the thing now.
Yeah. That's super fun.
Yeah. But she loves going to Auburn too. I've got some family down there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. She just likes to be in the mix.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I have less experience in Tuscaloosa because I have friends who have like, I have a friend who has a coffee shop in Auburn that's like kind of unbelievable.
What is it?
Sidetrack.
Is it?
It's in Opelika.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, so it's not technically in Auburn, but I go down there a fair amount to go see him, and
it's a nice little community.
it's lovely. Yeah, I think Opelika does the like small town thing in a really, really cool way.
Yeah.
Because there are just all these people who
You know what seems cool is that I've never been there, but that Waverly place seems kind of neat.
The city Waverly.
Yeah, I think there's like this little juke joint.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
I've only seen it on Instagram, but it looks like.
Because of my job, I also get to kind of go around to small town Alabama a decent bit. I was up in like Florence, Alabama on Monday, meeting with a church.
That bridge is really cool. Huh?
Really cool. Yeah, and we ate at I took my wife up there, and we ate at like a sushi place up there that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But that's like I don't get to do it as much as I wish I did. But driving around and going to small towns in Alabama for my job is like so much fun because you get to find these like random little, you know, downtown strips with like the cool mom and pop diner or whatever and stuff like that. It's just really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, where can people find you?
So I'm on Instagram and TikTok as Chip Creates. Just look me up there.
Yeah, I love it. This was fun, Chip.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for chatting. Anything we missed?
I don't think so.
Cool. Well, I'm excited about what you're doing. I think what you're doing for Birmingham is super cool. I wish more people would buy into creating in Birmingham, and I think we're starting to see that. I think I've interviewed a couple of people who are doing that, and it just gets me excited for the future of the city because I think that's probably one of the pieces that's missing is people creating content here. And whether you think that's good or bad, everything has a good and a bad side of it. But I think that it will be a net positive for the city because it's just another part of the economy of the world. And yeah, to be a voice for the city, I think that's how you get young people interested in a place. And I think what you're doing is really cool.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
That's fun.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah.
I have someone I really